Good morning to everyone here and those online listening to today's service. Welcome to the Midwest Buddhist Temple, the Temple of Enlightenment. We have a new designation. We are called now the Religion of Awakening, Jodo Shinshu, the Pure Land Path. This new designation came to America and is told in the story of the last 150 years by our dean at the Institute of Buddhist Studies, Dr. Scott Mitchell, who wrote this book, The Making of American Buddhism. And in it, we have all temple priests and scholars are responsible for making Shin Buddhism prominent in American art and religious studies. So we have many people to thank, too many to even list, but I have to thank Sensei Reverend Ron, who his generation of leaders have effectively spread the Dharma to us, the Sangha, and have kept the three treasures alive. So the making of American Buddhism, we should be calling it the making of American Shin Buddhism, because that's the thinking that is predominant everywhere you look. And you don't need to write a dissertation to discover Buddhism everywhere. As Reverend Ron likes to say, there's bodhisattvas everywhere. And one person I'd like to mention, I guess, today is the Reverend Dr. Kenneth Tanaka, who is a brilliant Sanskrit scholar and who is now teaching school children about Buddhism. But he says that we are all Buddhist. We just don't know it. And also Reverend Todd, who has become a sensei himself, is mentioned in this book. A footnote, but he's in there. Many of you saw us dancing last Saturday at Bonodori. It's the Sangha that keeps us alive. And this is the message of Scott Mitchell, is that we wouldn't be alive if it wasn't for you who are keeping this temple alive as volunteers and doing stuff, whether it's in the kitchen or for Ginza. And this past Saturday, there were some very talented dancers who danced, and then there was me. But the Obon Festival has a function and meaning for the Sangha. Our Master Honen would say, persons of the Pure Land tradition attain birth by becoming their foolish selves. And believe me, I've been very foolish. I think in Buddhism they call it a rooster, somebody who's proud, always looking for enlightenment, a shortcut to enlightenment. Sounds like me. The Tathagata we speak of is the Tathagata of unhindered light. The sacred name is Namo Amida-butsu. So I want you to put your hands together and listen to the words of the Shinran. Concerning birth, the larger sutra states, all receive the body of naturalness or emptiness, the body of no limitations. And Vasubandhu, concerning the fulfillment of the adornment of the virtue of fellow beings, states, the beings of the Tathagata's pure lotus are born transformed from the lotus of perfect enlightenment. For they are the same in practicing the Nembutsu if they follow no other way. Namo Amida-butsu. Buddhist doctrine is best described by the universal principle of impermanence. The emptiness of all phenomena and Dharma is not viewed as tragic, but ultimately as reality and embodied as suchness, just the way things are. Awakening to both the beauty and horror of nature can be considered an enlightened experience, depending on how we define enlightenment. This dual awareness reflects a deep, non-dualistic understanding of reality, one that transcends simplistic notions of good and bad to embrace the spectrum of existence. Only Namo Amida Butsu can become the compassionate means by which human beings come to know this non-existence. Scholars of different schools not only frame how we read and interpret text, but also determine which texts are to be read and which are to be put aside. While our core texts are the Pure Land Sutras, the broader Mahayana traditions offers profound wisdom and enriches our understanding of the Nembutsu. In Mahayana Buddhism, the Buddhist teaching methods are described as skillful or compassionate means, adapting the Dharma to the capacity of its listeners. Well, a new type of Buddhism and Buddhist arose in India. A new figure, the Bodhisattva, emerged in the new scriptures. The message changed from my enlightenment to our enlightenment. In Pure Land teachings, the training of monks to attain wisdom used our Pure Land Sutra, the contemplation of the Buddha of wisdom, by visualizing the Buddha of compassion. It's classic visualization of the sutras. So to get wisdom, you have to meditate on the Buddha of compassion. Visualizing the Buddha of compassion, Reverend Todd talked about it a little bit, saying, if you don't see it, you have to feel it. Virtuous conduct is important for upholding precepts and being praised by, and being grasped by the other power of Amida's vow. These new sutras were meant to teach how to visualize the Buddha and their Pure Land in this life. In Mahayana, every sutta contains the words of the Buddha, and the words of the Buddha are contained in every sutra. One of these new Mahayana sutras is the Vimalakriti Sutra, which was popular in East Asia. It became popular by emphasizing lay practice, harmony, and the interconnectedness of all beings. The Vimalakriti Sutta is truly unique text where the layman, Vimalakriti, is the central figure, not a monk, but still exhibits the compassion of a bodhisattva, one who remains behind to teach. Vimalakriti is a real-life, ordinary person, a good Buddhist and a contemporary of the Buddha. They were good friends, but he refused to become a monk, so he wasn't liked very much. They called him names. So Vimalakriti Sutta helped lay the groundwork for Buddhism, where lay enlightenment was affirmed, and where the Buddha's compassion for all sentient beings was essential, principles that are central to our Shinran's teaching of Jodo Shinshu. It's the skillful means of Mahayana Buddhism, the Buddhist teachings described as compassionate means and adopting the Dharma to each one of us. Vimalakriti was a wealthy, ordinary householder, husband and father in India, yet he possessed a profound awakening that surpassed even the Buddha's most enlightened disciples. One day, the Buddha found out that Vimalakriti was sick, so he asked his disciples to go visit him at the hospital. Nobody wanted to go see him. He was not liked very much. Very proud and always seeking a shortcut to enlightenment. His illness wasn't ordinary suffering. When asked why he was sick, he said, "Because all sentient beings are sick, therefore I am sick. If all sentient beings were to be cured of their sickness, then my sickness would cease." Why? For Bodhisattva, the body is born of great compassion. The body being born of great compassion addresses suffering on many levels because it highlights the unique path of the Bodhisattva. It is a willingness to suffer for the rest of us. Willing to suffer, the ordinary person, Vimalakriti, enters the suffering of the world out of compassion, and Amida Butsu's primal vow arises from boundless compassion for all beings caught in suffering. Amida's vow isn't just for us. It is because of us, of our inability to save ourselves. In the Vimalakriti Sutta, the monks were highly intelligent. The Buddha's disciples only focused on personal nirvana. Shariputra was one of the 10 great disciples of the Buddha who is frequently depicted in Japanese art and enshrined in temples. In the Heart Sutra, it is Shariputra is the one addressed in the famous dialogue on emptiness. Shariputra, form is precisely emptiness, and emptiness is precisely form. These figures serve as models of various spiritual virtues and paths. But the Vimalakirti Sutta shows that the limitations of this personal, self-focused liberation, when compared to the boundless compassion of non-dual wisdom of the Bodhisattva path, is much more important in establishing the preeminence of Shin Mahayana in America. The Sutra of Vimalakirti is about a goddess, a Yakshi spirit representing the life force of nature, a living Mother Nature possessing magical powers. She heard the Buddha's disciples tease Vimalakirti about not joining the brotherhood of monks. I'm sure they said something bad about teasing him, maybe something about putting on a woman's dress. But after all this teasing, the goddess heard and switched bodies with the great disciple Shariputra. Shariputra now had the body of a big, voluptuous Mother Nature and was wearing her seductive clothing. Shariputra was baffled and asked the goddess, "Goddess, why did you never change your female state to male?" The goddess replied that she had been searching for the essence of being female for many years, but had found no such thing. She then used her miraculous powers to magically transform Shariputra into her female body, while she assumed his male form. While the Buddha's most loyal disciples watching, Shariputra was transformed into a woman. Now trapped in a female body, he realizes he cannot change anything because there's nothing to change, as forms are empty. The story directly challenges the traditional notion that a female is in an inferior state and must become a male to attain Buddhahood. The Buddha said, "All things there is neither male nor female. These are merely conventional designations. To cling to a gender or to any form as an ultimate reality is to be caught in dualistic delusion." True wisdom transcends these artificial categories. They are impermanent, interdependent, and ultimately illusory from an ultimate perspective, or absolute perspective, maybe. Mahayana Buddhism transcends and reinterprets earlier, more literal understandings of Buddhist doctrines, urging practitioners to move beyond conceptual attachments to grasp the profound emptiness and non-duality of all existence. The Shariputra story teaches that form, status, and external appearances like gender or monastic robes are ultimately empty and do not hinder true realization. Our liberation in Jodo Shinshu is not based on external status or self-powered efforts, but on Amida's other power. Vimalakirti represents the limitations of a purely intellectual understanding when faced with the vastness of Mahayana wisdom. True and trusting or deep faith Amida is not a conceptual understanding, but a powerful non-dual awakening that transcends our intellectual grasp. It is a settled mind that goes beyond words. The disciples thought they had cornered Vimalakirti when they asked him, "Then, Vimalakirti, if you're so smart, what is wisdom?" To explain non-duality, Vimalakirti remained silent. In Shinshu, this points to the limitations of language and concepts. The Vimalakirti Sutra teaches that the Pure Land is not only a destination after death, but a reflection of this purified mind. Shinran also taught that Shinjin can bring about a profound transformation in this very life. If we entrust ourselves completely to Amida, our minds are illuminated by Amita's light. We become truly settled. In a sense, we begin to experience a pure land, a state of mind even amidst the defilements of this world. We see the world with Amita's wisdom eye. Vimalakriti reminds us that our spiritual path isn't about escaping the world, but about engaging with it, with wisdom and compassion, just as Amita's vow engages with us. Through Vimalakriti, we are shown that true enlightenment is not confined to monasteries or specific practices, but is accessible to ordinary people. He challenges our ideas about what it means to be a spiritual person. But how, for a bodhisattva, is the body born of great compassion? Challenging our dualistic minds, our liberation as a bodhisattva, Vimalakirti views all sentient beings as his children. Just as a parent feels the pain of their child's sickness, a bodhisattva deeply empathizes with the suffering of others to the point of feeling it as his own. This isn't just intellectual understanding, it's a profound visceral connection born of boundless love. Bodhisattvas, motivated by their vow to liberate all beings, intentionally choose to remain in the cycle of birth and death, even though they have the wisdom to transcend it. Bodhisattvas do not seek personal nirvana in isolation. They are here to teach the profound Dharma in a direct and impactful way. It illustrates that for a liberated mind, suffering is not an impediment, but can be carefully embraced and utilized as a vehicle for teaching and transformation. The teaching, if the mind is pure, the Pure Land is pure, suggests that the Pure Land is not merely a distant external realm to be reached after death, but can be experienced here and now through a purified mind. Vimalakirti's example reinforces the notion that one can be deeply engaged in worldly life while pursuing the highest spiritual path. He consistently points to the emptiness of all phenomena, including practices and virtues, when clung to. Vimalakirti's lack of attachment to his own wisdom and action resonates with Shinran's call to let go of self-effort and entrust oneself entirely to Amida. While Shinran focuses on the rebirth in the Pure Land, the ultimate purpose of that rebirth is to quickly return to this world as a bodhisattva and aid in the liberation of others. The Vimalakriti Sutra indirectly informed and supported many of the distinctive doctrines and characteristics of Jodo Shinshu, even if it's not directly chanted or explicitly cited as a core text in the same way as the three Pure Land Sutras. Vimalakriti embodies the bodhisattva ideal of willingly taking on the suffering of others. He does not withdraw from the world, but actively engages with it to alleviate suffering, demonstrating that liberation is not an escape, but a transformation within it. He demonstrates that this compassion is the ultimate awakening of all beings. It is a powerful example how suffering and awakening are inseparable in the Shinmaya tradition, and especially in Jodo Shinshu. Please put your hands together. Namo Amitabha Butsu.